This is the Martini Mortgage Podcast with Kevin Martini.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in. I am Kevin Martini, and I am the host of the Martini Mortgage Podcast, and this is episode 10 of the Martini Mortgage Podcast. Wow, I am proud and thankful for reaching this milestone. 10 down and many more to come. In episode 9, we celebrated that June is National Homeownership Month, and now it is no longer June, but do not fret. I believe that every month is a celebration of homeownership. In episode 8, we talked about the things to consider when buying a home, and in episode 7, we talked about things a millennial needs to know about buying a home. In episode 6, we talked about the 5 financial reasons to owning a home. And well, the first 5 episodes were priceless. Check them out. So, what is episode 10 about? I thought to make it the top 10 things to get a mortgage, but that would be too simple. For quick reference, let me give you the top 10 things you need to do to get a mortgage turbo fast. Step 1. Call the Martini Mortgage Group at Benchmark Mortgage. Now, for step 2 through 10, you do not have to concern yourself since the Martini Mortgage Group at Benchmark Mortgage will take care of all of them. Seriously, it is that simple. Speaking of simple, I want in episode 10 to talk about, well, you can let us call this episode Starting to Look for a Home by Kevin Martini. So you're starting to look for a home. There's no question that looking for a home today is materially different than it was when my parents purchased their first home. And heck, it is very different from when I purchased my first home with my wife. When my wife and I purchased our first home in 1991, at that time there was no internet like we know it today. So there was no portals like Zillow or no portals like Realtor.com. There was no custom search that my real estate agent could set me up with. If there was, she would have to fax it because email as we know it did not exist. So the question you must be asking is, how the heck did we find our first home? You see, back then, once a week, my real estate agent would get a book that was maybe about an inch thick. It showed all the listings. Each page had about 4 or 5 listings. It came out on Wednesday. I recall that day of the week very vividly because we would know that Wednesday evening or Thursday was the day that we would need to preview the hot new listings. Now, sometimes my agents knew of office listings, so she used my beeper. Oh my gosh, I am old or what? I bet some people listening right now do not even know what a beeper is. Let me share. Where there was also a secret beeper code that was used after the number. So when my agent's number popped up and it was followed by a 911, that meant you best find a German-fested payphone and dump quarters in it and call your agent turbo fast. Oh my gosh, again. I bet some of you listening have not even used a payphone. Now I'm really feeling old. However, being old beats the alternative. Seriously, some old school techniques that my wife and I created are timeless in today's digital world. Ronnie and I learned very quickly there really was not a need to see every house that hit the market. It was our job to educate our trusted real estate agent with our wants and what our needs were. You see, it is my opinion and the opinion of my real estate partners that I partner with, that it is really important to know what you are looking for when you start your home search. Now, many can argue what the first step of your home search should be. I believe the first step is to know that you are buyer able and to have clarity of the economics before you start determining what you need or want in a home. Yes, before you log on to those many real estate sites like Zillow or Trulia, knowing what you can afford and knowing what you can afford fits your personal family budget is not just nice, but required, in my opinion. At the Martini Mortgage Group, we believe that pre-qualification letters are nice, but irrelevant. That is why the families we serve, we get them pre-approved. Imagine this. The pain of walking into a house that you simply love. However, you find out that it's out of your qualification zone. I have seen this happen, and it's painful for a family. Sure, buying a home is a process, not an event. However, the process does not need to be painful. It can actually be an amazing process, and there is a material value to know before you owe. An added benefit to understanding and have clarity of the economics is you will see all the homes that match your price point. And when you fall in love with that right place that meets your needs and wants, you will be able to communicate to a seller that you are not just ready and willing, you are able. Sharing that you are able is exactly what a specific pre-approval letter from the Martini Mortgage Group Benchmark Mortgage does. Now, I have mentioned the terms needs and wants a lot during this episode. Here is a newsflash. It is very rare that every home will have everything that you need and want, and that the home you will select will check off all your wants. There is no question I would love to have had a home theater with a comfortable couch and a popcorn machine. Perhaps you may want a kitchen with a farm sink in your new home, just like the one you saw on Pinterest last week. Now, do I really need to have a home theater in my home? The answer is no. If you have been listening to the Martini Mortgage Podcast, you know that I believe it does not matter how big the house is. It's all about how happy the home is. I think the number one cause of money stress is when expenses exceed income. To help relieve this stress for you and your family is why I believe the first step in your home buying process should get pre-approved for your mortgage. So, what is the next step? Step number 2 is to list all the features of the homes that you would like and to qualify them as either A, must-haves, B, should-haves, C, absolute wish list. Let me define each of them for you. What is a must-have? If the home does not have these items, then it shouldn't even be considered. For example, if you want to commute no more than 20 minutes to work, then you should not be looking at homes that are 40 minutes away from your office. If you need a first floor master, then there's no reason to look at homes where the bedrooms are on the second floor. Does this make sense? There is also step number 2, which I call the should-haves. Should-haves are if and only if the property hits the must-haves. An example should be if you want 3 bedrooms and it'd be nice to have a split floor plan, or it would be nice to have an open kitchen. Finally, there is the absolute wish list. If you find a property that's in your budget that has the must and the shoulds, and then has the bonus features that you dreamed about, it is a winner. An example would be the movie theaters I spoke about earlier. Here is the Martini Factor bottom line. Being ready and willing to buy a home is irrelevant unless you're able. Knowing your options and getting approved is key. If you are looking to call home in the Triangle of North Carolina or anywhere in North Carolina, then the Martini Mortgage Group at Benchmark Mortgage can help. Now, let us say you live in Texas or in Florida or California or Kentucky or anywhere in the U.S. You need to know that Benchmark Mortgage is a community of trusted mortgage professionals, so simply give me a call and I will make a personal introduction to a mortgage strategist that can help you and your family. After you are pre-approved and before you start the search, it would behoove you to have your must-haves and your should-haves prepped. This will save you time and a ton of frustration. In my summer edition of Things to Consider When Buying a Home, there is a great article on what you want versus what you need. To check it out, simply go to www.martinibuyerguide.com and you'll get free and instant access to this home buyer guide that is filled with things that you need to know. Again, the home buyer guide can be found by going to www.martinibuyerguide.com. In closing of this 10th episode of the Martini Mortgage Podcast, I want you to know that indeed, buying a home is a process, not an event. However, the process with the Martini Mortgage Group at Benchmark Mortgage can be educational and stress-free. In addition, our job is not over when you have finished closing on your new home. We continually monitor your loan and markets so you do not have to. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, our family is your family lender.
Thanks for listening to the Martini Mortgage Podcast with mortgage strategist Kevin Martini. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Martini Group and check out our website at martinimortgagegroup.com. Tune in next week for another episode of the Martini Mortgage Podcast.